Hi everyone, so today I wanted to film an updated art studio tour, which is a generous phrasing because it's really just a little nook alcove in my living room. But this is it. I just finalized it a couple weeks ago, so I'm pretty proud of how this looks. So first off, this is my big green desk chair with my Labubu's. I can link it in the description, but it's just one of those gaming chairs from Amazon. And if you couldn't tell, green is my favorite color. So here's my desk. I bought this at the Occasional Wife in New Orleans and refinished it myself. Don't worry, it's not an antique, but I did sand and paint and stain it. Here is the desktop. So this is my pet jumping spiders enclosure. I don't know if he'll come out. But then I also have this big chunk of green onyx that I got at a local thrift store. And this lamp, it's pretty old. I think it's from Home Goods maybe, but I will swing it back and forth, whether I'm using the workstation or if my spider just needs some more light. On the walls, I have some of my degrees and awards. This painting I got in Cuba, and this that I got in Home Goods. I think this is a statue of David. And then next to the desk is really the big unit that I bought on Amazon, and surprisingly it fits perfectly. So here's just like a bigger overview of the area, and then in here is my kitchen. So it's really not an art studio, it's more of just an art nook. But we can go into the drawers. This one just houses my laptop and my work laptop, so not very interesting, but in here I keep all of my pencils for when I want to sketch, pens, and then these are my fountain pens. And then here we have erasers. This is glue tape, whiteout, and here I keep all of my highlights just for quick access to them. I love these like extra fine Posca pens. Highlighters, more highlighters, and pens, and then just like a hard drive and a compass back there. And then in the second drawer, this is really like my journaling drawer. So any like junk journaling stuff I'll throw in here. I have a lot of stickers and cards. This is my little Canon Select like printer, sticker books, my travel journal, this little like pen pouch, and then a bunch of scrapbook paper and like extra printer papers for the printer. And then the last drawer has miscellaneous things. So the sketchbook that I'm currently using, the junk journal I'm currently using, my reading journal, and just like extra pen pouches. This is from Bailey J. Love her. Okay, and now onto the actual unit. So, well, first of all, on my desk, I keep all of my liners. So these are mostly microns and then this like off-brand that I found on Amazon for the sepia tones. I keep my colorful pens here. So Muji, these like Uniball Signos, glitter pens, jelly roll pens for highlights and things. This is more for journaling, less for art. And then of course the Zebra Mild liners, which are the best highlighters, especially for like bullet journaling and things. And oh, another fountain pen. Okay, and now onto the art storage unit. So on top I keep my glass bottles. They're like old yogurt bottles and jam jars and things. I think this one was pesto, but so right on top of the unit I keep this soda crate from Michael's, and this is where I keep all of my alcohol markers. I got this idea from Bailey J, but it's mostly Copics, and then I have some Ohuhus. This was before they came out with the brush nib, so I really want to like finish using these up and then only stick to purchasing Copic markers. And then underneath, of course, Sharpies. Next to that, we've got two old candle jars. These are my watercolor brushes with a pair of scissors and my acrylic brushes. I'm not very nice to my brushes, so I like to keep my acrylic brushes pretty cheap and just throw them out when they get all nasty and crusty. Like these are makeup brushes from Five and Below. But watercolor, I tried to be nicer to them. These are, I mean, they really aren't great brands, but whatever. In here I have part of my acrylic paint. So really, I haven't been acrylic painting in a long time, and I should get back into it, but I've got Winsor Newton Galleria. You saw I have some Liquitex Basics in here. These are really nice, almost too nice, these golden acrylics, but I just have to let myself use the nice things. And then some Liquitex Heavy Body. I think these are too thick for what I like to do with acrylic paints, but it's easy enough to thin them down, and you'll see when I get into my solvents and things, I have ways to make it work. The next drawer is gouache. So I have a lot of the Arteza, like student grade gouache, which is fine, but these are like my favorite gouaches. These are the Winsor Newton Designer Gouache. Also something that I just need to let myself use the nice things. My boyfriend got me these that I haven't used yet, but they are the Daniel Smith gouache paints. I, again, just have problems letting myself use the nice things that I own. I have these separated because they are like iridescent, and sometimes I am not checking, and it makes you pretty mad when you pour out an iridescent color and you didn't want that. Next to it, we have my watercolor collection. So these little tubes are poured into a bigger palette that I'll show you later. But these are my Prisma Marketing or Art Philosophy. I don't know. They have strange names, but this is a shimmer palette. I have a lot of them. We can do a deep dive later into all the palettes I have. I think vintage pastels might be my favorite. I think they're fun. I think they're great for travel. Again, I'm not a professional. Of course, it's the last one I find. Look at those colors, gorgeous. Yeah, I think they're great for sketching outside, traveling. They are mixed with white, so I know some of the watercolor purists won't like that, but whatever, it's just art. This is the little ink compartment, so I have art inks, and then I have like fountain pen inks down here. Love this one. So you cannot put these art inks in fountain pens, but you can use fountain pen inks for art and just like water them down. And then I've got little calico refills for my other fountain pens. And then this drawer is washi tape, and if you see on the side, stickers. All right, the first drawer is just canvases, tracing paper. This is the cable for my light box. Yeah, ideally I want to use up some of these canvases because, as you'll see later, I have far too many, and I have too many acrylic paints that I don't use. So 2026 goals. These are some pads just from Dollar Tree that I placed down so I don't muck up a desk or something. This is my Cricut light box, which honestly I don't do much like alcohol marker art anymore. I really just do watercolors and gouache, and I don't mind sketching directly on the watercolor paper. This is a chunk of wood from Home Depot that I gessoed and then didn't paint on. I've got my watercolor blocks down here, and then over here I keep Bristol for alcohol, marker art, and colored pencil art, and then more canvases because, again, I have a problem. I think I just wait till Black Friday and buy all the canvases, and then I forget to use them. So this little cubby holds my colored pencil collection. So in the pink one, I have Faber-Castell and Caran d'Ache colored pencils. This one is all Prismacolor, and then this one has kind of a miscellaneous. So I know there's Derwent Color Soft in there, and then like a Studio Series brand from Barnes & Noble. More canvases, and then this is my little like desktop easel, and just a paint palette. And then the three little drawers. So this one keeps all of my Tombow double-ended markers for journaling, and also some of the like Michaels knockoff ones. And then I have, if you can see back there, these are my like swatch sheets. Here, I painted recently, so it's kind of a mess, but I keep my palettes, and I don't like, I don't know, just washing out the palette. I kind of like to reuse the paint in there. And then this is my Himi gouache palette, which is kind of a mess because I use it so much. And I refill it with the Arteza paints because they're both student grade paints anyways. So yeah, I've gotten a lot of use out of this and a lot of practice with it. And then in here, I also keep my paper towels to reuse them. In here, we have my big watercolor palette where all those tubes were squeezed in there. And then I think this has been my favorite one lately. So this is the Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolors. So these watercolors are obviously Japanese watercolors, but they almost perform like a gouache. So it's just very interesting to work with them compared to how Western watercolors perform. And now the very last drawer. So these are more acrylic paint and kind of solvents. So I have gesso. This is a glass bead gel. There's a retarder, a sealant spray, and then a liquid sealant, and then my bigger tubes. So I still have a lot of Liquitex basics to go through, and I definitely want to upgrade my art supplies in the future, not just buy like the student grade paints because they are kind of frustrating to work with. So that's the end of the art supply collection that lives in this little nook in my living room, but because I have so much stuff, there is some stored in the kitchen. So we're in my kitchen, obviously, and this cabinet has up here are used journals, finished journals that I'll probably film tours of. That's the pillow to my desk chair that I don't like. This is some clay, like crafting supplies. These are empty journals and sketchbooks, and then all of my beading supplies and like empty travel journal refills. And then we're not done. Down here in this cabinet, we have completed artwork. So like canvases, up there are all my like filled sketchbooks. I even have like a plastic accordion with finished watercolor art. So yeah, this is my little apartment art studio. It's very small, but it houses really everything I need to make art and get creative. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry I abandoned this channel for so long, but I promise I'll come back and do more art.